Well, recently they told me the most difficult speech to do was the one just before the last one, because everybody is sleeping. So I'll try to keep your attention without showing picture of my grandparents, um, without showing anything actually. Yeah, I think we are all here because we think there are many things to change in our society, in our current economic systems, and that we really want to get into action all together. So the idea now and today is to tell you a bit more how we try to get into action at Makesense and to contribute to this change we all agree is needed. So at Makesense, what we want is to make the society the society inclusive, resilient, and sustainable. So as I said yesterday, I know it's a bold, ambitious mission. But I think we are ambitious, so we really are into this mission. But we are also pragmatic and realist in the way we can do it. The first step is to identify what we need to change, the problems, and the second is getting into action by identifying and fostering the right solutions. So at Makesense, we decided 10 years ago, or even before actually, because Makesense was created in 2010, we have decided to work with all the stakeholders and be this platform of building collaborations and synergies to work together towards this mission. So we have been working first with citizens. We have engaged over 250,000 citizens around the world through programs that enable each of them, or all the citizens we really want to contribute to solve these social and environmental challenges to do so. We are also working with large organizations, public organizations, like governments, but also with big corporates. We work with them to make them a part of this change and also to transform them or help them to transform themselves from the inside. And finally, the last piece for us is the impact entrepreneurs. Since 2013, we are supporting impact entrepreneurs in the growth of their projects. We started with incubation programs in 2013, and then acceleration programs. And at the end, we in 2019 we added the last piece of this support as a financing investment piece. And we launched our first impact investing fund in 2019. It's a small fund. It's a 8 million euros fund to invest in pre-seed and seed, so early stages of the startups. We invest tickets from 100,000 euros to 500,000 euros. And recently this year we launched our second fund. It's a 86 million euros fund investing bigger tickets from 500K to 4 million euros to keep supporting and financing these startups, impact startups, once they have raised a first time. So with Makesense, we are now a team of almost 200 people around the world. The main office is in Paris for the European region, but we have offices in Mexico, in Manila, in Singapore, in Dakar, Abidjan, and in Beirut. So the idea is to really create global dynamics, because we feel these challenges are global, but really to have local approaches. So all the activities I told you about, working with citizens, organizations, and entrepreneurs, then we build programs that are adjusted to the local needs in every region. So to talk a bit more about what I'm doing, I'm not doing all of it. I'm working with the entrepreneurs, and I'm working with these investment funds we have. So the two first one, but we are we keep raising funds to keep growing our activities, and that might be of interest to you, especially. We are also working on a fund dedicated to the sustainable foods systems for next year. So we are coming from a very general approach, as Makesense wants to rebuild all the society, but we are getting a bit more experts in different areas. So we want to work on this expertise and bring it to the specific value chains. But our job basically in the investment team is to identify the right startups, the right solutions to contribute to solve these social and environmental challenges, and then to contribute to help them to become a success. Here, I think how we define success is to make them so mainstream that they become the norm and the leaders of the industries they are working on. So how do we identify these companies? So as I told you, we're investing in very early stages companies. So as someone told me yesterday, it might be kind of a gamble, but we are trying to see or to identify the main factors of success to really focus on this in our selection process. And we have identified, I think, three main factors of success we are focusing on. The first one is obviously the business model, because we want business models that are able on the long term to create this triple value we are talking about since yesterday. So the economic value, the social, and the environmental value. And we don't think that we need to have this value at this maximum since the beginning, since day one. It's really like a long-term vision, this research for business models creating triple value. And what's really important for us is how the company and the business model is positioned in the value chain. We really take a value chain approach because we feel that that's the only way to have a systemic impact, to work with and to work in the business model. I mean, to embed in the business model the key part and the key shareholders of the value chain, to transform it from the inside and deeply. But yeah, business model can change, can pivot to adjust this positioning in the value chain to have more impact. So we cannot focus only our selection process on this. We are we feel our business and business in general is also a question of human. So one of the main criteria is the team. We are looking for teams that are committed, driven to impact driven, who share the same vision and as us, vision of impact, vision of the models and systems we need. We are looking for ambitious team, as we have an ambitious goal and mission, and also we are looking for resilience. It's a long-term play that we are talking about now. So we need people that have the drive inside and the force inside to be resilient in the long term. So I would say the team criteria for us is more than half of the decision making at the end. And the last piece of how we choose the entrepreneurs we are investing in is obviously the impact approach. We want And we have, in our way to see impact creation, an holistic and authentic approach, I feel. We are addressing a very complex and diverse problem when we are talking about changing the society. So we have defined three main or priority areas we want to have an impact on, and we want to prioritize. They are both environmental and social, because we don't believe um, um, environmental transition can be or can forget the human side. We really believe it needs to be a fair, inclusive transition. So our priorities are reducing contaminations or fighting contaminations of the soil, the water, and the air, preserving natural resources and biodiversity, reducing waste. That's for the environmental side, and the social side is about inclusion, reduction of inequalities, and giving access to everyone to the basic needs, especially education and health. So that's our priorities. And with these guidelines, when we are assessing a company, a solution, we are looking at 6 main criteria to assess the impact creation. So the first one is the intensity of the need, which is addressed by the solution. The idea is to understand to what extent the solution addresses a problem affecting a large number of people, and to understand how far, or does the solution really get to the roots of the problems, or really or stay in the surface of the problem. So that's the first criteria, intensity. The second one is the additionality in a context. A new solution is brought to the current system or to the current value chain. We need to make sure it fits to be able to have leverage to transform. If the solution doesn't fit with what it's already there, it will be even a longer play and a bigger gamble in terms of impact creation. So intensity, additionality, accessibility. As I said yesterday, a successful transition is one that doesn't let anyone behind. So it's great to have a revolutionary, innovative way to build homes that is very energy efficient. But if it's only affordable for 1% of the population, that's not a solution we will back up financially. So intensity, additionality, accessibility, consistency of the values, and that's the walk the talk. Does the mission, the impact mission of the company is reflected in its own organization, in its own governance, in its own way to work with its employees, for example? We look at the totality of the impact and the impact balance while when you take into account all the externalities, including negative externalities that can be created. So that's how we assess impact, and we use these grids not only to filter in or filter out the companies we are investing in, but really then to set up with the entrepreneurs a roadmap to improve impact creation in the long term. So we set up a roadmap, we set up objectives and goals with the company and the entrepreneurs. That's really like a business plan, but an impact business plan that works hand on hand with a financial business plan. So that's how we assess and select the company, but I feel identifying as startups and entrepreneurs that we feel are bringing right solutions is not even half of the work. Then we need to make it happen. We need to bring all the resources we have and we can gather to make these solutions mainstream. So how we do it and what's the philosophy of how we work. First, as we all said these 2 days, we need collaboration. We need everyone on board. So in the way we invest, we want to co-invest mostly because we feel the more brains around the table, the better, and the more expertise we can bring to the entrepreneurs to make it a success. But the specificity of Makesense is also to work with all the stakeholders. So we are able to put into action all the different stakeholders we are working with in the same direction. So citizens to become activists with their money, the way they consume and they buy, and with their votes, the way they choose their governments. We are working with large organizations and corporates that at the end today make the rules of the financial markets, of the offer and the demand, and the rules of like legislative rules. And we are working with the entrepreneurs. To give you an example, for example, if we take the problem of the single-use plastic, we are able to build programs to engage citizens to reduce their consumption of single-use plastic, to march for new laws banning the single-use plastic. We are able to work with large companies to help them transform their processes, internal processes, to build and develop zero waste offers. And at the same time, we are investing and supporting entrepreneurs that are bringing solutions to these large corporations and showing to also to the public organizations that can work. So that's super powerful, I think, to be able to work with all these stakeholders at the same time to really make it possible and mainstream. So collaboration is key in the way we work. The second point is we are trying to build expertise and to share this expertise with the entrepreneurs we are working with. Expertise from our ecosystem. We have engaged over 250,000 people around the world. So there are many people with many different expertise, and the way Makesense is built is also an open source platform. So we are using this expertise we can find in the ecosystem to support the entrepreneurs. We, as Makesense, as an organization and a company, we have also built expertise over the past 12 years. And I think the main ones are obviously financing as a financial investors. We are working with the companies on this topic, but we are also working with them on impact and governance, on management, and all the topics around mental health of the entrepreneurs and well-being at work. We, as I said before, it's a people business, it's a human business. So we need to make people or to make the best conditions for people to be able to get into action and make the change. So that's a topic we are working a lot. And then we have developed a strong expertise in communities, how to create, moderate, and engage big communities on the same direction. So that's expertise we are sharing with our entrepreneurs. And the last thing, which is maybe the most difficult at the moment for us, is to keep creating impact through exits and beyond exits. When we sell our shares, the shares of the company we invested in, we want to make all the conditions to for the impact creation to keep growing, and that's not an easy thing to do because we are not shareholders anymore and we don't have a say basically. So what we are trying to do is first to lock the mission and the impact creation in the company, so in the corporate documentation, in the governance, and really in the business model to make revenue growth really tight to impact creation. And we think that's the best way maybe to make the impact creation beyond the exit living, because you cannot dissociate revenues growth and impact growth. We also are trying to build governance in a constructive way, making it the more open, the more inclusive, to include all the, or to involve all the stakeholders in this process. We are working also with our co-investors to make a chain of impact investors, because as we invest in very early stages, most of the time we sell our shares to other investors. So we need to work together to be sure that we can sell our shares to investors that share the same value and the same vision. So we need to attract more money to impact investing to build this chain of impact investors. And finally, I think we also need to change the way we as investors are doing our job. I think the easy part of doing of investing in companies creating impact, it's more and more common and mainstream. There are more and more impact investors, but it's easy to ask the others to change. It's much more difficult to change ourselves, and I think that's a really key need. We need to change and realign our interests as as impact investors with the companies we are investing in. It means maybe chasing a lower level of profitability in the first time, accepting that maybe we need to run shade. Is it a word? I'm not sure. To accept also that our profitability in the short term would be lower because we need to make all the conditions for impact creation. I think it's also aligning our remuneration as investors on impact results. We are investing to create a triple value: economic, social, and environmental. So our remuneration should be aligned and should depend on the impact results too. And I think we need to cap, as an industry, our returns and to work for a better redistribution also. It's also coming back to the walk the talk. We need to, if we want an inclusive, fair, resilient, sustainable world, we need to have a look at ourselves and also be inclusive, fair, sharing with all the stakeholders. So to sum up and maybe to finish, I think identifying the right solutions is maybe the easy part. We can do it like we all know, based on a lot of studies and years of innovation. What are the right solutions? I think the hard part, the part we have to do all together, is to make these solutions mainstream and to have these startups become the leaders of the industries and really be the transformative leaders, able to make a linear system or to change linear systems towards circular systems. And as we said, we all need to do it together at the same time now. And I think the one who needs to lead the way are the investors, or the one having money. So that's a call for myself and for my friends having having the money and investing. But yeah, just to say, I really believe as our investors that are aware of this need and of this need of changing our sector, and we are working on it. Thank you.